track they have selected. So when you're recording, it's going to be very useful to adjust the volume from here. There are two places that you can do this. There is this, you can adjust the volume right from the main screen, or if you go to the menu up top and then you tap on the mixer, you can adjust the volume for all 4 tracks from there without having to switch between them, which is pretty handy. And if I flick to the right again,
octave left button,
we have the octave, so you can change the octaves on the keyboard.
Unlock keyboard button.
Now, I'm not really sure what this does. I think, and I'm not going to do this because I'm not too sure what it does, but I'm pretty sure that if you were to tap on this, you could zoom the keyboard in and out, and I think you could change the note range that way, but I'm not going to do that because I don't think that's really friendly to VoiceOver, so I'm not going to try that. If I flick to the right again,
octave right button,
we have the octave right button, so you can move between your octaves, like plus and minus. And if I go to the right again,
keyboard,
we've got the keyboard. Now, when you actually get on the keyboard, you would play it, obviously, but since I'm using VoiceOver and it's just moving through each item on the screen, it's going to flick to this item because it thinks it's an object when it's really not. But if I were to touch the bottom of the screen where the keyboard is, since this app is VoiceOver compatible, it will actually behave as normal. So it's playing the keyboard, just like that. Alright, so now, before we do anything else, I'm going to go to the menu up top and quickly show you what's in there, because that's pretty important.
Menu button, menu.
Alright, so a new menu popped up, and VoiceOver actually doesn't jump to it. It should, but it doesn't. So I'm going to flick to the left.
Import Dropbox, featured, export, share, save, open,
Go all the way
song,
to the top.
main menu, back button.
And I'm going to go back to the main menu because it was in the song menu, which is what you just saw. But I'm going to go back to the main menu.
Main menu, heading.
Alright, so this is the main menu of Alchemy. This is where all of your options are. So if I flick to the right,
song,
we've got the song menu, and you can make new songs and open songs that you've saved in the Pro version. You can only save songs in the Pro version, by the way. You can open saved songs there, and you can export them to your computer for doing remixes in your digital audio workstation software. I've done that a couple times. And if I flick to the right again,
track,
we have a track menu for the current track that you're on. And I'll get to that a little bit later. That's going to be useful when we're starting to record stuff. If I flick to the right again,
settings,
we have the settings, and I'll go in here in a second because this is pretty important. If I flick to the right again,
help,
we have help, and you can look at the manual there. You can look at the tutorial again if you skipped it in the introduction to Alchemy when you first downloaded it. So I'm going to go into the settings quickly.
settings, remix settings, main menu, back button,
Alright, so if I flick to the right,
settings, heading, metronome, heading,
we've got our metronome section. So if I flick to the right,
on, button, 1 of 3.
we can either have the metronome on, and this is for when you're recording, by the way. So we can have the metronome on,
Selected, on if no drums, button, 2 of 3.
on if no drums is what that said. And what this will do is, if you've got this selected, if there isn't a drum track in your song, the metronome is going to play. But if you're playing a drum beat, the metronome won't play because you won't really need it if you've got a drum track to play along to. And this is what I've got it set to. Or, if you want,
Off, button, 3 of 3.
you can have it set to off. So if I flick to the right again,
Remix pad, heading,
now this is for the remix pad. These are the options for the remix pad. So if I flick to the right,
inertia, switch button, off. Double tap to toggle setting.
now I believe what this does is if you were to turn this on, it uses momentum. So when you're sliding your finger around, or you're using the next thing that I'll talk about in a second, it will, depending on the speed of your finger, the remix pad will change faster or slower depending on how fast you move your finger. I haven't really played with that, so I'm not too sure what that does, but if you want to experiment with that, please feel free to do so. If I flick to the right again,
tilt, switch button, off.
We have another mode. We have another mode for the remix pad. So instead of sliding your finger around the screen, you can actually tilt the phone, and that's pretty cool. If you want to just not have to touch the screen, if you just want to focus on playing the keyboard, you can just tilt the phone and it will move the remix pad. I don't have that on, but you can play with that.
Calibrate tilt.
And that will calibrate the tilt.
Storage, heading.
Okay, storage. So if I flick to the right again,
iCloud, switch button, off. Double tap to toggle
you can have
setting.
iCloud on, so when you save songs or when you save presets, which I'll talk about in a little bit, it's pretty cool. It can save them to iCloud, so it will sync across your devices if you've got multiple iPhones or iPods in the house.
MIDI, heading.
You know, this is pretty interesting.
Background audio, switch button, off.
Background audio.
Double tap to toggle setting.
What this does, for the people who don't know, is Alchemy can continue to play even if you exit out of the app with the home button. If you're going to go do something else, but you recorded something for it to play, it can continue to play even when you exit the app. I don't have that on because I won't normally exit the app unless I wanted background music for whatever else I was doing. But I don't have that on right now, but you can turn that on if you want to. If I flick to the right again,
MIDI learn.
this is for external MIDI devices, so if you have a keyboard or a controller or something, you can have it learn the controls on that controller.
MIDI out, switch button, off.
And that's for MIDI controllers as well.
MIDI in/out configuration.
MIDI in/out configuration.
Latency, heading.
Now this is pretty important as well.
256, track 4, crescendo.
Oops. It
Menu,
jumped to the
button.
bottom of the screen for some reason. I'll just go back up quickly.
2000, latency,
There
heading.
we go. Okay, so latency. So if I flick to the right,
256, button, 1 of 4.
now these are your different options for your latency. And what latency is it's basically when you hit a key, how long it takes for the sound to occur from your phone. So you can have 256,
Selected, 512, button, 2 of 4.
512,
1024, button, 3 of 4.
1024,
2048, button,
or
4 of 4.
2048. So you can adjust that if you need to. So I will go back out
Main menu,
because we're
heading.
done with the settings. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly go past this menu